Hi everyone, you are watching the Spivey Consulting Group Law School Admissions YouTube channel, and I'm John Stachniewicz, Senior Consultant to Law Schools at Spivey Consulting and former Dean for Administration and Finance at Boston College Law School. Today we're going to be talking about the U.S. News & World Report's law school rankings and how you can best use them to inform your choice of law schools. You're going to hear a lot about U.S. News rankings, some of it good, some of it bad, some of it even worse. Today, we're going to talk about what goes into the rankings, what the individual components are, what U.S. News does with them, and how by using the data, you can ignore the rankings and actually come out ahead as you're selecting a law school. Each fall, U.S. News sends an opinion survey to faculty and deans, lawyers and judges, asking them to rate all the law schools in the United States. Each law school also submits answers to a detailed questionnaire providing data about their own school. U.S. News collects all this information, assigns weights to each of the different areas, orders them, and then in mid-March produces a ranking. U.S. News divides the responses into 4 large categories. There's peer assessment, which is 40% of the total rank, selectivity, which is 25% of the total rank, placement success at 20% of the total rank, and faculty resources at 15%. First piece of advice is to ignore these categories. As we're going to see, the individual attributes under each one may not actually apply to what U.S. News calls them. Also, by keeping the attributes siloed, you're not able to truly compare across categories. You're going to find looking at the individual attributes and comparing them to each other will give you more information about a law school. The section on peer assessment, at 40%, contains the 2 highest weighted attributes. These are the responses to the opinion surveys set out, and the responses from the faculty and deans at the schools are weighted at 25% of the total rank. The responses from lawyers and judges are weighted at 15%. The responses to the other 3 categories are from the data that's submitted by the law schools. Under selectivity, you have median LSAT and GRE score at 12.5%, median undergrad GPA at 10%, and a school's acceptance rate at 2.5%. Under placement success, placement at graduation is weighted at 4%, placement 10 months after graduation is weighted at 10%, and bar passage is weighted at 2%. The faculty resources category actually has very little to do with faculty resources. Spending per student on instruction and support by a school is weighted at 9.75%. Other spending, including financial aid, is weighted at 1.5%. Student-faculty ratio of a school is 3% of the total rank. And finally, library resources are weighted at 0.75%. So what does all of this tell us about U.S. News? Well, first, U.S. News values the subjective over the objective. Remember, 40% is the result of opinion surveys. 15% of the total rank is based on the opinion that lawyers and judges have of a school. And when you compare that across categories, only 14% is assigned to employment 10 months after graduation. The specialty rankings are 100% subjective. There's no data component to those at all. Second, U.S. News values law school operations over outcomes. 9.75% of the total rank is based on how much a school spends per student. That is more than double the 4% that is assigned to employment at graduation. Every single survey that we have done at Spivey Consulting with prospective students lists employment at graduation as the #1 attribute that people look at when selecting a law school. Student-faculty ratio is 3%. A school's acceptance rate is 2.5%. Yet bar passage is only weighted at 2% of the total ranking. As you are looking at a law school, which of these areas matters most to you? Third, some of the calculations are not made transparent by U.S. News. In the employment area, data is collected across 45 different employment categories. We know that they give full weight to positions that are not funded by the law school, that are full-time, and that either require bar passage or a JD advantage. We don't know what sort of weight they give to other positions. We have no way of knowing if U.S. News' version of placement success is your version of placement success. Are you looking for big law, public interest? You're looking for a clerkship or a school-funded position? The rankings won't give you any of that information. So what do? When everyone seems obsessed with rankings, how do you break through the noise to figure out what is going to work for you? First piece of advice is ignore the weights. Just because U.S. News believes that there's a certain weight given to a particular area doesn't mean that's necessarily true for you. For example, you may be looking for a law school where you feel like you will get greater personal attention. Then you may want to look at student-faculty ratios. U.S. News says that's only worth 3%, but in your calculations, that may actually be worth closer to 50%. By ignoring the weighting, you can start to view U.S. News not as a ranking system, but as a data warehouse, as a place where you can go to look at particular data points across schools. Take a look at acceptance rates. Take a look at bar passage. Take a look at library resources. Start to delve deeper into the employment numbers. There may be a school ranked in the top 20 who has an employment number in U.S. News that's lower than a school ranked in the 30s. Is this because they're overcompensating in some other area of the rankings? Or is there something going on with their employment numbers? You can't tell that from U.S. News, but you can use that to go to the school's website. The ABA required disclosures and the National Association of Law Placement, or NALP, disclosures will give you that kind of information. A website like lawschooltransparency.com will also provide you with greater and more detailed information about placement at a given school. It's only by looking at all of this information that you will then truly be able to determine what constitutes placement success. So don't dismiss U.S. News, but use what you want to use from it. U.S. News is constantly tweaking its methodology. The only constant is change. If you only use the U.S. News rankings to determine which law school to attend, you may find yourself graduating from a law school with a very different rank than it had when you first enrolled. So use the U.S. News data. Use the data from law schools' websites. Use the data from lawschooltransparency.com. Use the outcomes-based rankings of Above the Law. Use all the tools that you have at your disposal to make what is the best decision for you so that you end up attending the school that you rank first. Thanks for watching. If you found this information helpful, please like the video below and subscribe to the Spivey Consulting Law School Admissions channel, where you can get law school admissions advice from former directors of admissions at law schools such as Yale, Harvard, Columbia, and Penn. And if you feel that you need more personalized guidance, feel free to reach out to us for a free personalized consultation at info@spiveyconsulting.com. Thank you.